Which iPhone 13 would you buy? The big one or the small one? Regardless of which iPhone 13 you would pick up, the numbers are in for the iPhone 12 lineup, and unfortunately, one model in particular is lagging very much behind the others in the pack, and you probably knew this was coming. If you like mini iPhones, I'm sorry. This video is filled with some good news, but also some bad news to break first. And let me just say that if you are considering buying a mini iPhone, you might want to buy one now before it's too late. And a huge thanks to Giga Drive for sponsoring this video. As the iPhone 13 lineup begins to take shape before its official announcement and release in September, there is one thing in particular that is surprising many people about these four phones that are about to launch, and that is the fact that there is, surprisingly, an iPhone 13 mini slated to launch this fall alongside the regular 13, the 13 Pro, and the big daddy of them all, the 13 Pro Max. And the reason for this kind of surprisement? The reason that this is surprising to many is that we've heard the iPhone 12 mini isn't selling so well. And we don't know if it's because some people love it, some people hate it, some people have mixed feelings about it. Regardless of all that, the iPhone 12 mini and the 13 mini, the mini lineup in general, is very much in trouble. And if you believe recent rumors, it looks like as soon as next year with the iPhone 14 in 2022, Apple is officially going to discontinue the mini lineup from existence forever. Kind of, but more on that in a minute. And before I go any further, I just want to make this one point very clear. The iPhone 12 mini is not a bad phone. I know many people who bought it, like Apple Circle producer Ralph, who's watching this video right now, really likes his iPhone 12 mini. So much so that he downgraded, I think like many people, from a Max version or a Pro version down to what seems like on paper a lesser iPhone because they really wanted that smaller, more compact design. And unfortunately, I don't have the raw numbers on the returns of the iPhone 12 mini here in front of me or accessible, but if I had to make an educated guess, I'd say that most people who bought the 12 mini probably really like it and are very happy customers, and probably it wasn't a very highly returned model, at least that's my guess. What I think is the more likely scenario with the 12 mini and why it kind of flopped is not because it's a bad phone, but it's because people just are not buying this iPhone. And the data that we have access to and what's available from different analytics firms kind of backs that up if you look at the raw numbers. A flurry of reports over the past few months suggests that the iPhone 12 mini made up only 6% of the iPhone 12 models sold during a specified launch period, or categorized by this graph as very clearly being the worst selling iPhone model of the past few generations, a very bleak picture that doesn't make the iPhone 12 mini look all that good. And more news about the 12 mini is not looking very good either, as we're hearing from sources that Apple is scaling back production of the 12 mini by as much as 70%. So it's not looking too good for the mini iPhone. And again, if you believe the rumors, there'll be one more mini phone with the 13 this fall, and then the iPhone mini series is gonna go off to greener pastures and will not be around again, at least not in what we know it as right now. So why did the iPhone 12 mini flop? How could Apple get it so wrong? Well, like I said before, I think there are a number of different reasons why this phone didn't sell well, but I think there are a couple of big ones that you just can't ignore. First, I think this phone launched at a very unfortunate time. During the fall of 2020 was not the best time for consumers to go out to stores and hold a new iPhone in their hand. A lot of Apple stores were closed around the world, many different electronic stores and carrier stores as well. So it was hard for people to really understand what this 12 mini really felt like in the hand. It was a new size, it was a new form factor. Many people were excited about the 12 mini, but they didn't want to plop down the cash to buy it because they wanted to hold it in their hands first, which they obviously couldn't do. And I think because of that, and a lot of people being a little uneasy to commit to a phone that seems so small, they just would rather go with the safer bet, which was either the 12 or the 12 Pro, and decided just not to risk it on the iPhone 12 mini. Something else that gave consumers pause, I think, was battery life. I think many were concerned that the iPhone 12 mini would have poor battery life because of its physically smaller battery inside. And Apple can really only do so much. They can only put a battery in there as big as the chassis of the iPhone will allow. You know, they're trying to do everything they can with hardware and software optimization. But at the end of the day, the iPhone 12 mini's battery life is just not going to be as good as a phone with a physically larger battery. And I think those who own a 12 mini will tell you the battery life's not that bad. Maybe it's on par with what they expected, maybe even a little bit better. But I think that made a lot of people very nervous who just didn't want to tempt fate and commit to a phone with a smaller battery that might not be able to kind of sustain itself throughout the day. Again, not saying the battery life on the 12 mini is bad, but I do think it made a lot of people really nervous. But ultimately, I think what really was the final nail in the iPhone 12 mini's coffin, per se, if you follow that analogy, was really price. And this big question kind of emerged around the launch of the 12 mini and very much so today in 2021. Do people want a small iPhone because it's physically smaller? Or do they want a small iPhone because it's going to be inherently cheaper? That was kind of the debate all along, and maybe the iPhone SE is a successful phone not because it's small, maybe partially, but more because it's cheap. And I think price for the iPhone 12 mini played a very big part in its demise, and with a price tag of $700, it is a very expensive phone. It is near like flagship territory price of phone that is kind of hard to ignore. It's not $400, it's not $500, it is $700. And once you kind of get up to that price, there are a lot of other options to consider, including just the regular old bigger iPhone 12. I think a lot of people just decided to spend a little bit more money and go with the bigger iPhone 12, or even some decided to plop down a little bit more money and go with the iPhone 12 Pro or even the Pro Max. And I think what's important to realize here is that it's not just about the kind of retail figures that you see on Apple's website, about the $699 or the $799 or the $999. It really comes down to the monthly price of the phone, which I know is not the case everywhere around the world. There are different promotions and different deals and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, at least here in the United States, as of right now in 2021, the monthly price of a phone is very important. When you go into a store or go online, the first thing a carrier is going to show you is the monthly price this phone will cost you, which when you start to do a little digging, shows another reason why the 12 mini might have been doomed from the beginning. Before we continue, let's take a quick break away from sort of the sadness of the iPhone 12 mini and talk about something much more exciting. I'm actually super pumped to share with you guys this super sleek looking, ultra fast SSD. This is the Giga Drive. The Giga Drive boasts stable read and write speeds of up to 2,800 megabytes per second, thanks in part to support for both types of next-gen connectivity. So you've got support here for both Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4. The design of the Giga Drive not only looks super cool, but it is also super functional. Equipped with IP67 protection, so you have resistance from water, dust, or shocks, and it's also got dual thermal pads and built-in heat sinks to keep Giga Drive running as cool and as fast as possible. Giga Drive is compatible with both USB-C and USB-A devices, so computers like Macs, PCs are gonna work no problem. Consoles even are supported as well, and even devices like cameras that allow you to record directly to an SSD are going to work no problem. And fun fact with that, you can even shoot and edit and kind of work off of the exact same drive, both on your computer and on your camera, which speeds things up so much. Plus, Giga Drive is available in 1, 2, and 4 terabyte configurations, so you can pick as much storage as you need that's gonna work best for you. So check out the super speedy, super versatile, and super cool looking SSD, the Giga Drive today. This is an awesome SSD that's gonna work great for all your projects on your computers, cameras, all that stuff, and also is going to protect your data with that IP67 protection as well. So learn more and check out Giga Drive for yourself today at the link right down below. For example, Verizon has the iPhone mini listed at $29 and change, but for just a few bucks more a month, you can go with an iPhone 12 or even an iPhone 12 Pro. And the keen-eyed among you would see that obviously there are different financing terms for those phones. You're paying the same for a 12 Pro as you would the 12, but you're paying longer, so you're spending more money. But again, a lot of people, you'd be surprised, aren't looking at that. They're looking at just the monthly price tag of that phone, and they're even willing to spend more money and pay for a longer duration if it means they get a better phone. Also, if we go under the assumption that people are just looking for smaller phones, then you have to look at what Verizon's doing with the iPhone SE, because as of right now, of this filming in 2021, Verizon is basically giving away the iPhone SE for free if you just use their network. So if you could have a small iPhone that was free or a small iPhone that was, you know, $30-ish a month, or even $700 if you pay outright, most people who just wanted a basic small iPhone would go with that free SE. It's just a no-brainer. So what can Apple do with the upcoming iPhone 13 mini to make this phone a success? Is there anything they can do to make it better and make it sell well? Well, I don't really know, because again, hardware is not the issue here. I think the hardware of the iPhone 13 mini is going to be fantastic. It's going to have a smaller notch, hopefully a little bit of a bigger battery, a really nice display, newer processor. It's going to be a really great phone. But the bigger issue, again, I think, at least in my opinion, is price. And unless Apple is willing to give the iPhone 13 mini a significant discount, which I don't think they're going to do, I think the phone is kind of set up to perform the same way as the iPhone 12 mini. Maybe Apple could cut some special deals with the carriers in the US and around the world. Maybe there could be some special promotions, but I think if it kind of remains the same in terms of pricing and promotions, as it probably will, then I think the 13 mini is going to ultimately see the same fate as the 12 mini, which is why the 14 will not have a mini version at all. So if you believe the rumors that the mini is officially going to be discontinued with the iPhone 14, then what is the fate of small mini iPhones? Will we ever see a flagship mini device again? Well, I'm not sure. I don't think that's very likely, but I do think that smaller iPhones are still here to stay, specifically because of the iPhone SE lineup. We know Apple, according to the rumors, is going to heavily invest in this phone type for the next couple of years. There's rumored to be a new iPhone SE and an iPhone SE Plus, and the SE line will stick around, giving you a very good iPhone for an affordable price. And I think that's where the mini is going to excel. So maybe Apple could take some of the hardware and material of the 13 mini and maybe repurpose that in the SE lineup. That just seems to make the most sense. You're never gonna get probably a flagship mini iPhone again due to what happened here, but at least you'll be able to have a smaller iPhone as an option to you in the form of an iPhone SE. There's also this crazy idea that Apple could totally rethink the small iPhone altogether. What if Apple someday made this iPhone Nano that was bigger than an Apple Watch, but smaller than an iPhone, that had a whole new kind of feature set and worked differently and had certain things it excelled at more than others? I'm just kind of spitballing here, kind of a pie in the sky idea. These renders and concepts look super cool, and I would kind of love to see that. I know it sounds dumb, but would there be any room in the Apple ecosystem for an Apple Watch Plus device, so to speak, that did a little bit more than the Apple Watch, but not as much as the phone? Again, maybe this is getting a little too much into the weeds, and maybe this is just kind of making a Nano iPhone just for the sake of it is kind of a dumb thing to do, but I do think that there is a chance that we could see a smaller iPhone return in one form or another. Maybe it's a new type of device, maybe Apple tries this again down the line. I don't think all hope is lost, but as it stands right now, the mini iPhone doesn't seem to be high on Apple's priority list, at least not as of right now, but that could all change in just a couple of years. So what are your thoughts on the iPhone mini series? Are you going to buy a 13 mini? Did you buy a 12 mini? What is your opinion of this sort of interesting predicament Apple is in? Do you think this phone is a flop because Apple just got it wrong? Do you think it's too expensive? Or do you think no one cares about the mini or something else? I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Leave them down below in the comments. We can discuss the fate of the mini, and if you have an idea for how Apple could reincarnate the mini into some new device, I'd love to hear that as well. I'd really love to see some kind of iPhone Nano. Sounds kind of cool and looks cool, though let's see if Apple actually makes it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I am Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle. Thank you so much, and I will see ya in the next one.